Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome to another Marvel vs. System 2-player card game expansion. This is for the Omegas. This is part of the Omega level arc, volume 3, issue number 9. Just a third in the set of the Omega level arc, which brought us some interesting sets. We have the Days of the Future Past, which is the first one. So we got some alternate future stuff going on. And then the second set brought more Brotherhood of the Mutants, led by Mystique, which is more of her Freedom Force team. So a sub-team of that, which is kind of cool. This is one of the most different and maybe interesting / polarizing expansions because the Omegas bringing a new team, which is slightly introduced earlier in the Fantastic Four set, called the Omega level Mutants. So they're going to have their own symbol. It's not a good team. It's not an evil team. And it has one big special rule for it. And that is they're so powerful, you can only have one Omega level mutant in your deck. There are currently 13 total. There are 13 or 14. I think there's 14. I think there's 14 total Omega level mutants. 13 are in this deck, and then Franklin Richards was the fourth one that appeared in the Fantastic Four set. So that's what makes this unique, because any other deck you buy or expansion you buy for the Versus system, you could technically, you could sit down and play it, probably out of the box. This one you actually can't. So this deck will be filled with a list of the most powerful mutants. Challenge your opponent with the confidence that comes from building a deck with the likes of Jean Grey, Storm, and Legion. Massive mutant abilities like this will surely classify your deck as Omega level. So why are these guys so... The ideas are all supposed to be super powerful. They have extra abilities. They all, except for there's one main character, they all cost 8 points to play, so they're on the high end to play anyhow. And yeah, so it's interesting because you get eight different you get a bunch of different supporting characters and one main character, which you have to build. You can stick in your deck just to kind of enhance your deck. And that's it. What is an Omega level or an Omega mutant? Just for a clarification, I'm not gonna have the exact wordage right, but the general gist or idea of it is they're a mutant that has a power that has no potential upper limits. So like here we have Jean Grey on here. She has her telekinetic powers. She technically has no potential limits on what she can do with her telekinetic powers. Another one would be like Iceman. As a quick example, is that he can not just turn in guys, he can turn himself in guys, he can turn anything else. As of now, there's no defined limit on how far his power can go. This is in contrast to, let's say, someone like Colossus, who can turn into armor up his body. He does that, that's as far as his body goes. He can't, like, as of right now, there's nothing where he can, like, extend his armor form to, like, increase his size, increase his mass. He can't change the amount. Basically, his skin becomes armor, and that's it. So that's why he's not classified as a higher level as an Omega. He's reached his limit, and that's as far as he's ever going to be able to get. Like, he could bulk himself up to get stronger. And potentially there might be a factor, like, later in the future, you get a second mutation or something that could make his armor change or do something. But right now, that's as far as it goes. Ideally, another example of that would be someone like Nightcrawler, who has the ability to teleport. He can bring people with him. But he has a limit. After he teleports X number of times, he starts to get too tired, or if he brings too many people with him, it wears him out. So although he can do great massive teleporting things, that is not his upper limit. Also, generally speaking, there is usually only one person that's an Omega level for each type of ability. So if Jean Grey is the Omega version for telekinesis, then anyone else that has telekinesis might also be very powerful, but they have reached their personal limit. So it's not just saying that that power set has a limit. Like, there can be other ice users, other people with magnetic powers, or teleportation. Again, there might be a teleporter that has no limit, but it's not Nightcrawler. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hop in this now. I've kind of jibber-jabbered about that for a bit. So we're going to start with Jean Grey. She is our thing. So they have a neat extra kind of border, where it's basically a big open border, and then they have like a cross off just to kind of set them off a little bit different than some of the other characters. I mean, I guess it's how the rest look too, but they're all gray, or hers is gray at least. Anywho, so she has, there's an Omega symbol up there, has like the X in it. AKA the Phoenix or Dark Phoenix. Omega level mutant can't include Omega level mutants with other names in your deck. So she, as a main character, could also include her supporting version. So if they ever decide to revisit these characters in future sets, they could start making main characters for all of these other Omega level mutants in case there's no more that ever get made. So yeah, she has Traumatic Event, level up 1. When a character on your side with a cost of 1 gets KO'd, on an enemy player's turn, Jean Grey gets 1 XP. Okay, so we just wait for someone to get taken out. I wish they didn't use this costume. I wish they used like either her Phoenix costume or like her more traditional costume. Or iconic costume, I guess. Her level 2, Phoenix, Dark Phoenix, Omega level mutant, out of control. When Jean attacks, put 3 -1/-1 counters on another character on your side. Reduce this number of counters by 1 for each XP she has. Learning control. When you put a counter on a character on your side, when Jean is out of control, she gains 1 XP. So very interesting. So basically you have to attack, put 3 -1/-1 counters on your characters, then you gain XP. Then the next time you do it, now you only put 2 out. Then the next time you put 1 out. And then she levels up finally. So for a total of 5, which is what her total attack power is. Then when she gets to level 3, we get Psychic Firebird. Pay 2 yellow. Remove an enemy player's hand or deck from the game. That is an Omega level power. She's just going to be like, nope, I have the ability to remove your stuff from the game. Granted, it's going to take a while to hit level 3, so removing a deck is still going to probably hurt. But it's not going to hurt as much because you're not going to like kick this off in like 3 or 4 turns. Again, even with this, unless you have a way to attack multiple times, assuming you can only attack once per each turn, it's going to take at least 3 turns to get that out. And then, assuming Pony has to attack on the other turn, so at mere minimum 4 turns, it'd be 5 turns into the game at probably absolute quickest. Alright, so for these characters, we do have supporting. We got 4 copies of each one. So even though they're that 1 per deck, you get a lot of different ones. So we have Elixir, who has Biokinesis. When you recruit Elixir at the start of your turn, choose 1, KO an enemy supporting character, or put a supporting character from your KO pile on your side. So basically as healing and death touch. That's how he comes into play, boom, just KO someone or heal someone back to life. Again, he's not very strong. Again, he might be like an 8 cost character for this, might not be, for 1 defense and that's it. But the fact that you can do anything, is very powerful. Up next, we have Exodus, who has a lot of text. I'm going to try and zoom in on this a little bit more. Psionic of the highest order. At the end of each enemy draw phase, that player discards a random card. At the end of each enemy recover phase, exhausting enemy character card on that side. At the end of each enemy build phase, current enemy location on that side face down. At the end of each enemy main phase, put a 3 -1/-1 counters on enemy character on that side. So yeah, during your opponent's turn, you have to discard a card, exhaust one of their characters, turn location face down so they lose possibly one of their superpowers, and then they get 3 -1/-1 counters on an enemy character. That's pretty crazy. So you're going to want to take him out definitely as soon as you can. But yeah, this is basically his psychic abilities. But he's not... He has psionic or psychic abilities, so it's like mental attacks and powers, but it's not necessarily directly telepathy or telekinesis. It's like psychic energy. So it's kind of the little difference in there. Alright, our next Omega Mutant is Hope Summers, who has Perlopointant Echophrexia. Wow. Those are some words. Do I have anything special for her? She does have some special stuff here. It says, when you recruit Hope, she gains 3 powers from her Echo pile until she leaves play. So basically what she does is she is an ability mimic. Anyone's in her vicinity, she can she can copy all of their abilities and use them probably better than they can do it. Because she doesn't have any limits or anything like that. So her ability says, you start the game with a private out-of-game Echo pile and must consist of exactly 1 Brotherhood character, 1 Revolution character, I think Resistance character, and 1 X-Men character, who do not share any names. When you recruit her, you must choose 1 different power from each of them for Hope to gain. You don't choose the 3 powers until she's recruited, and you don't have to choose the same 3 powers each time she's recruited. Note, since this is a when recruited, she'll benefit from pure powers like Iceman's Freeze. So it's one of the 3 different teams. The only thing that makes this is a very limited card is probably the Resistance set. It's easy enough to get a bunch of Brotherhood and X-Men characters because they're in several different sets. The Resistance only appear in 2 different sets, in the Utopia sets. But yeah, so that's actually kind of neat. It includes 1 of each. It's also kind of interesting because it's not just 3 mutant characters. Like because if you made it just any 3 X-Men or any 3 Brotherhood, or any combination of that would be a little bit different. But the fact that it's going to be 1 of each makes you spread it out a lot more. That's pretty neat. So every time you play a new version, so if you already have her in play and you play another version of her, it overrides it. You know, you get to choose 3 brand new abilities. So that's kind of cool there. Alright, up next we have good old Bobby Drake, Iceman, who has Ice Age. With an 18 attack, 1 defense. When you recruit Iceman, at the start of each of your turns, freeze each enemy location. It says freezing locations mean exhaust them and they cannot ready on their next turn, even if face down. Note, exhausted resources don't produce recruit points, so basically shuts down each enemy location. So basically, until you deal with him, yeah, when he recruits, then each of your turns, your opponent can't use it. So they can use stuff during their turn. But yeah, it doesn't unfreeze their set. He's just gonna keep shutting down everyone's locations. That's pretty crazy. Alright, then we have Jean Grey's version of her supporting character, in case you don't want to play as the main version. Alpha level telepath. So I guess I kept saying telekinesis, I guess she's listed as a telepath. When you recruit Jean Grey, move any supporting character to your side. Take control of someone. That's awesome. That's pretty crazy. Then we have Kid Omega, Hunting Queer. Mental paralysis. When you recruit Kid Omega, enemy player with their play with their hands revealed until he leaves play. At the start of your main phase, choose a card in each enemy player's hands. They can't play cards with that name until Kid Omega leaves play. Oh, so yeah, imagine that. So he plays, you just see all your opponent's cards, which normally I'm like, man, I don't really care what my opponent has for the most part, because they're going to keep drawing and playing new cards and it's hard to remember that stuff. But here they constantly see it, and then every turn you'd be like, yeah, you can't play that card, next one can't play that card. So if they don't start playing some of their other cards, you're going to keep shutting down their deck, and eventually they'll be drawing a card, and your next turn you'll just be shutting that card off. So that's pretty crazy. Alright, then we have David Haller, Legion, Professor X's son. Spontaneous mutation. When you recruit Legion, at the start of your build phase, a random personality takes over. So this is a little bit crazy ability. So it says, when a personality takes over, the following occurs. He loses the name, stats, and powers of all previous personalities. He gains AKA for the listed name of the new personality. His base stats change the listed personality's attack and defense, and he gains their powers. Note, powers to say once per turn can't be used during combat. When you recruit Legion at the start of each of your build phases, randomly choose the option. The following list of 20 options, you can choose the same personality on consecutive turns. He gets 20 different characters he can choose into. I kind of wish they had a reference card for this, even if it was just the name of the characters. So you don't have to keep the little rule book out. It'd be kind of neat if they actually had an extra deck of even 10 cards front to back, or 2 or 3 cards with all the abilities on there. So we're gonna show all these off, and I'm gonna read through them all. So we have personality, the number, name, stats, attack, power, and defense. So the first one, he becomes just regular David Haller, who has 0 attack, 1 defense. He can become Jamal Karami, who has 10/10, telepathic. Enemy players can't draw cards. Number 3 is Jack Wayne, 3/18, telekinetic. Enemy players can't play resources. Number 4 is Cindy, 7/7, pyrokinetic. Once during your turn, put 3 -1/-1 counters on each enemy character. And now you're so the numbers are going to kind of jump. Now, it's because these aren't supposed to be personality number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to number 20. These are the numbers in the comic books given to each of his personalities, because he has over, I think, 1,000 different personalities. So number 5 is the Legion, who's 11/11. Bend reality to my will. You pay 1 less to play cards, and enemy players pay 1 more. And he also has the Real Me. At the start of your turn, randomly choose the Legion or David Haller. Whatever you choose takes over your next build phase instead of a random personality. Number 67 is Sally, who has 19/2 size manipulation. Sally can't be struck. Number 115 is Lucas, 12/8. Sound check. When Lucas attacks a character, stun it. 181, the Unknown, 30/30. That's crazy, right? Grab. Well, his characters in the front row, enemy characters can't fly over it. 186, Johnny Gamora. 88, pass the salt once per turn, moving enemy equipment or supporting character from the game. 227 is Time Sync 5/5. Time manipulation. At the start of your turn, take another turn. 302, Unknown. So Unknown is just, you don't know the name of that power. 13/13, Supersonic Punches. In melee combat, this character strikes an additional 2 times and before other characters. 666 is Styx, who has 6/6 and Death Touch. At the start of each main phase, choose an enemy character on its side. It strikes another character of your choice in its row. Number 762 is Pirate 1515, Booty and Plunder. When enemy player draws a card, you draw that many cards. Number 896 is Centaur 1010, Kick. When an enemy character enters melee combat, Centaur put 2-1- counters on it. Number 1012, Delphic 025, Siri. You can look through your deck at any time. Don't shuffle it afterwards. Then we have 3 question marks. We have the Cowboy, which has 25-15 in ranged. The Kierback the Crackler, 20-20 with flying. And the Fiend. When the Fiend takes dominant personality, the Fiend takes over, choose 2 of the above personalities. Randomly, they can't take over a character named Legion on your side of the game. Your choice of one of the above personalities. Choose twice more randomly, ignoring the result, until you have 2 different personalities they take over together. Add their stats and personalities. So that's crazy, right? That's 20 different things he can become right in there. Again, I wish, though, they had an extra card for those extra personalities, which also is because then you could potentially even add more personalities in a later game if they wanted to. Alright. So up next we have Magneto, Eric Lenscher, Master of Magnetism. When you recruit Magneto, choose an enemy player to reveal their hand. They choose an equipment there and discard it. You may then KO an enemy equipment and or move an equipment from any character to an unequipped character. Then search your deck and KO pile for 1 equipment each. Reveal them and put them into your hand. This turn you may play equipment for free, ignoring restrictions. So this is a very interesting character because he's just going to manipulate equipment cards, which there's not a ton of in the game. So you recruit him, KO one of your opponent's equipment. You may then KO an enemy equipment, discard one of their equipment. You may then KO one and or move an equipment from any character to an unequipped character. So you could take one of theirs, and then search your deck and KO pile for an equipment. Reveal it, put it into your hand. You may play this for free. So basically, you can get rid of one of your opponents, KO one or steal it, and then play your own. Awesome. We have Mr. M, who has a bunch of text too. Subatomic manipulation. When you recruit Mr. M, do both. Power removal. Choose a keyword or superpower on an enemy character. Enemy characters lose and can't gain that power till Mr. M leaves play. And power augmentation. Choose a keyword or superpower on another character on your side. Characters on your side in your hand, deck, and KO pile with that power. Gain that power until Mr. M leaves play. So basically, you shut off one of your opponent's powers, and then you give him give everyone else one of those powers. So that's kind of cool. All right, then we have the Monarch, Jamie Bradrock, pulling on quantum strain, so reality manipulation. When you recruit Monarch, turn each face down card in your resource row face up. Cards in other locations can be face up. Cards other than your locations can be face up in your resource row. Characters on your side can be turned face up. Characters on your side can turn face up cards other than location resource row face down to generate any power symbol to pay for their superpower. Oh, cool. So basically you can use anything in your deck as a superpower. That's pretty fun. So set example, like you have Monarch and the X-Men Cyclops supporting character on his side. Cyclops can use any of the non-location face-up resources to pay for his battle tactics superpower. He can still use school to pay for the battle training normally. These non-locations can't be used for any other purchase. When he leaves play, or if it gets turned off, turn each face down non-location face down. Interesting. Alright, then we have 4 copies of Proteus. Alright, so Proteus is very interesting as well. If Proteus would be recruited, remove him from the game instead. When he's removed this way, choose a face-up character on your side to be his host until he gets stunned or leaves play. Reality warping. Proteus host is 10-10, range, and has main. Heal a wound from this character. Yeah, so he doesn't actually want to be in play, prefers a physical host. If he recruit, remove him, place him face-up on your side. If you don't have a face-up character, he will still be removed from the game. When his host gets stunned or leaves play, he will no longer have a host, but he does remain removed from the game. If Proteus would appear any other way except being recruited, he will be stunned and killed because he has 0 defense. So he can't literally come into play, but he makes any other character 10-10 and gives them range. Giving some characters range with abilities they have, which normally they wouldn't have range for, could be really powerful. Plus, you can keep healing them. So that's actually pretty neat. Alright, then we have good old Aurora Monroe, Storm. Under the weather, when you recruit Storm, you may move any number of enemy characters to a different role on their side. You control the enemy's player's next formation steps. You can basically manipulate where you want their characters. Pretty cool. Alright, then our last card and character, because we have no plot, because there's no such thing as no mega plot twist or no mega location. We have Vulcan, Gabriel Summers, Cyclops and Havoc's brother. Energy manipulation. When Vulcan enters combat with an enemy character with a superpower, he gains +1/+1, counters equal to that character's attack. So he starts off really weak, but when he comes into combat with someone, he basically steals their ability. So like, as an example, we have, they show a Cyclops card in here. So this is an example. He has a main red superpower, and he has 2 attack. So if he fought Cyclops, rather than being against Cyclops is 2-3, he'll now be a 5-5. Then you fight the next guy. If you fought another Cyclops, for example, if you get another 2, now he would be 7-7. So he just constantly gets it. He gets it when he enters combat, so he boosts up before you even fight them guys. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so that is what we have for the Omegas. Yeah, so that's a very interesting game mechanic and style, because it's like, just a bunch of characters you can only have one version of. You know, it's kind of like, I like when they play different things like this. They did, I would say, a similar-ish type thing with Spider-Man, like Spider-Verse characters, where you have main characters where instead of having like level 1, level 2, you have, you make a group of them. You have like a bunch of different level 1 characters, give you a bunch of different abilities and stuff to do. Things like that. Just, it's a neat way to play around with the mechanics. Maybe those are really super powered characters. And now I can definitely see them making possible main decks for some of these later on. I would say Magneto, Storm, Iceman would be the main 3. I could see them making additional to the main X-Men characters, giving them full main character status at some later point in the thing. Just like, hey, now you can play these guys as main characters, you know, and then it makes them a little bit more powerful. Alright, so that's what we have for the Megas. Yeah, should be like some interesting, just 8 cost super powered character to add to your deck, bunch of different options. There you go. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Bye.